Ugh, I gotta go microwave my coffee. Be right back. All right, hopefully you can hear me. I'm back. PGY pop, says Rebecca. PGY popped. By the way, after the closing bell, we will have Facebook and Qualcomm and Ford are the big ones, and perhaps Teladoc and Etsy. And then they'll be reporting. And then before the market tomorrow morning, so you have to prepare for that today, will be Tilray, Pfizer, and Southwest and MasterCard, Merck, and Hertz. So those are some decent big ones. And then Thursday after the close is going to be Apple and Amazon and Roku and Intel. And so a lot of powerhouses this week, a lot of powerhouse earnings releases. Yeah, PGY popping up there. I will be watching BWV because it has the most potential, I want to say. There's another word, but I'm looking for it. But it has the most potential. It has the most volume, has the most eyes on it. It's got the most money being traded on it. But we're also watching TEVA and Dave this morning. Regarding the market is currently at or above yesterday's highs. So that's a reversal in in trend direction, but not sentiment. It's just this may be the first up day off of the pullback that's been going on the last few days. However, that could definitely be changed today at 2 p.m. when the Fed decision comes. Oil is below yesterday's low right now. It just broke down from 96 to 94.50. So energy deflating. And rates are at 2 on the 10-year are 2.78 this morning. On the 30-year, they are 3.03. And amazingly, the 2-year is up above the 30-year right now. So, that's a massive recession signal. Rates, rate inversion is a recession signal. We had first rate inversion signal on March 31st. Yes, and then they've become quite twisted in the last since July 13th. They've really gotten inverted and all twisted up. So it's just a mess right now. The rates. Let's see here. Back to Qs. And of course, we're going to see today what the decision is from the Fed, but it's going to be 75 basis points is the consensus. If it were 100 basis points, so keep an eye out and be prepared. If it was 100 basis points, that would be alarmist. That would be very, very surprising because all of the indications are that 75 basis points would be absolutely the right amount to do right now. To do 100, it would mean that they have some information that we don't have that is negative, that is not looking good. But that's not the case. That's why consensus is 75 basis points. But I'm telling you, if it comes up 100, which is a real long shot, I mean, we're not even talking, we're probably not even talking a 10% chance. So it's probably a 20 to 1 long shot, like a 5% or less chance that they decide to raise 100 basis points. If it does, bye market. I mean, that would be just very surprising, very alarmist. It's shocking. So probably that will not happen though. 75 basis points is about a 90% probability. An amazing thing, also like as unlikely, is if they were to raise 50 basis points, which would be a decrease, and that would signal that they have information that inflation is over, and that we should be curving down on our efforts to we should decelerate our efforts to attack inflation. But I think there's a slightly higher chance, even though it's very low. I think it's a slightly higher chance, something like 10%, maybe even 15%, that it could be 50 basis points. So it's a good 85% chance that it's 75, but there's a 10% chance that it is 50 basis points. And I believe that's because the Fed doesn't want to cause a deep recession, and it seems that already because of inflation, it's causing people to save, and we're already having the effect that we want because of inflation. And the ironic thing though is that the Fed caused the inflation in the first place with all of the deficit spending, and so it's hard to navigate an economy to make sure that it's safe in the midst of a pandemic. But clearly, they went way overboard, and at this point, it's very interesting macroeconomic stuff. But at this point, it's almost unnecessary to raise rates in order to stave off demand, because people are already having to save and do what they can to battle the actual inflation. So it's really strong on both sides, this manipulation of the economic forces of supply and demand by the Fed. It's been, crazy. And of course, the Fed is also selling back securities back into the market now too. So there's pressure there as well, and that's causing rates across the board also to rise and continue to rise. So anyway, that's the story on the Fed today. We'll get that decision at 2 p.m. I've been expecting, even since last week, that today, Wednesday, we'll go into that like very low volume, kind of just like no movement type of behavior, at least hour and a half before the Fed decision. So starting at around 12:30 Eastern time. But we might even see that kind of behavior from the open here. So we'll see what happens in 11 minutes approximately. The market opens, and you can expect a choppy day filled with false starts and false breakouts and fake outs and fake downs, and just sideways. Lots of do about nothing until that Fed rate decision happens. And if you've been through it before, you know that the initial reaction on the market can sometimes be the opposite of the direction it ends up taking, and that it takes about a half an hour to an hour and a half to start to bake in the direction. So don't make any rash decisions right away. But on the same token, make sure you're hedged up going into it, and that can mean as little as be in cash. Don't be in any positions running into a train or possible train wreck, or as much as hedging your positions and getting delta neutral. If you want to learn more about how to be delta neutral, I do teach that in my Market Mastery for anybody out there. If you want to take my Market Mastery, you can go to the Market Mastery channel, or you send me a private message, or you go to marketmastery.teachable. That's on the Teachable platform. .com. Marketmastery.teachable.com. So the market is again slightly above yesterday's high, which was a very negative day yesterday. A lot of sell-off. And so that can mean the kickoff of a rally, So here on the Qs chart on the bottom right, you can see that every rally then had a pullback, and that the start of every new rally started with a candle breaking over the high of a previous candle. So we've had lower highs consecutively on all these pullbacks until a higher high occurs. And then that kicks off the rally. And that's been kicking off the rallies every time, and that's typical. You can find that in trend trading and pivot point trading and swing trading. So right now we're opening above the high of yesterday, and so that's the first. And so that marks a reversal in sentiment about the pullback. But again, it's going to be a tricky day, and I do believe that even if we open above the high of yesterday, that we're going to get some testing of some of yesterday's prices, the high and the close, and the open rather, the high and the open, those areas will be tested. So I don't think anybody needs to irrationally just grab the Qs or whatever stock you're interested in order to have your FOMO satiated for getting in when the rally's beginning, because we are opening over yesterday's high. We could easily go down and then work around all day, and then it gets back up over the high, makes a new high on the day, and then you could get in. But again, we've got the Fed decision at 2 p.m. So I actually think that no matter what signal happens right now, it's not a good idea to be getting into any kind of swing trade until after the Fed decision. And that's why the volume is going to be light on the market today, because nobody's interested in getting into anything until the cat's out of the bag. There's a lot of yahoos, gamblers out there who are interested in getting into things beforehand, but that's a complete gamble. It's a total gamble, and that's just not how professionals play the market. You have to make good risk-reward decisions, and right now the best, most professional thing you can do is wait until 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, all right, the market's on hold, but we have a few momentum movers this morning in the small caps. BWV is the one leading the way right now. It's popping a little bit. to over 3.5 roughly. And that might send it back up and over the pre-market high of 377. So that's a potential trade you can look at. BWV with about $60 million of activity going on this morning. High and unusual and fresh for BWV. TEVA is currently at 867. It was at 725 yesterday. Hit 9.1 just a little bit ago, and you'd be looking for it to break up and over 9.1 pre-market high. TEVA, TEVA. Also, DAVE, DAVE, which closed yesterday around 62 cents, hit almost doubled, hit $1.17 in pre-market, but it's back to 86 cents right now. So it's faded substantially and is below VWAP. The strongest candidates at this point are those first two I mentioned, BWV and TEVA, TEVA. We do have some things that have been hot lately, which are moving around, like PGY and SIGA and GovX, GOVX, and Redbox, RDBX. Also, there's EGH, which started moving a little bit earlier from 27 cents to 45 cents, although that has only $8 million roughly financial activity going on in it. So, you got to go where the money is. That's where everybody is going. When it comes to momentum trading, momentum day trading, it's where all the eyes are looking. That's where the momentum's coming from everybody swarming in. And that's currently BWV. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's just going to go up, though. That could easily mean that everyone's going to sell it off and it could go down. It can go either way. But if there's going to be movement, if there's going to be momentum, it's got enough eyes behind it that it can move. So BWV right now is at 3.56. So it did make it over the 3.5 mark, and it is over VWAP. So we'll see what happens there. Potentially you can get over 3.77 pre-market highs and really start to ignite. And the news on that, by the way, was, let's see. WV Blue Water Vaccines is the name of the company. And news is, I don't know if I want to go over to StockTwits to get it or Yahoo. I'm looking at StockTwits here. I'm going to have to go over to Yahoo and get the news on that. No, I'm not seeing any news. So, well, if anyone has the news on that, let us know and we'll let everybody know. But okay, the market opens in about 3 minutes. Cheers. What happens today? All set and ready to go. And look at the oil just got, that oil dip just got completely bought up. It's all the way back to almost 96 again. The VIX closed around 25-ish, and it's back to close to 24-ish right now. Being up near the high of yesterday is a positive, so that brought down the worries on the market a little bit. I do believe that was because of some good earnings yesterday and others. All right, 2 minutes. PGY is starting to make its way back up again off that back. BWV is settling in to 347 right now, 350-ish area. Swing traders, you got to be very careful in this bear market right now. Make sure you're, mostly predominantly in cash and waiting. Wow, oil now popped to 96.5. It's just it's moving so fast. Gold is not doing anything like that. Gold continues to be deflationary, 1730 roughly. Morning, Luke. Welcome. Atul. Yeah, there was some downward revised guidance from, I believe it was Google, and the Microsoft was the one. Microsoft and I believe Google. No, I don't have IMPP up. I'll pull it up. Yeah, I know it was moving just a little bit. It was up 18%. Okay, yeah. That was closed yesterday around 50 cents. It's now around almost 60 cents. So it's really not enough, Rebecca. About $4 million being traded on that. So the momentum will not turn into something productive. Okay, here we go. With the oil move. Yeah. All right. Well, that's a good idea. All right, market is open, guys. And the Qs are rallying at the open, like I expected. But I do expect them to pull back and retest yesterday's highs and yesterday's open. And I have a couple of swing stocks alerts here to check on. Okay, no. PGY, not really doing much. There goes BWV for sure. It's at 3.68, almost 3. There's 3.71. Remember, the pre-market high is 377. There's 373, 375. And it's about to break through pre-market high, and that'll really light the fire on it. 376, 381. There's the breakout on BWV. Will it be a fake out? I don't think so. That was a lot of momentum. I think we're going to test for 3.81, 3.84. Okay, 3.83. We're starting to back off now. 377, 378, 379. Remember to be taking some profits, partial profits when you get in on momentum trades. On that one, BWV every 10 cents, underneath every 10-cent level. PGY popping now. PGY is up and over pre-market high of almost 21. It's now at 21.17. It hit 21.50 almost. GY. So those are the two hottest momentum movers, small caps on the open. And there's the sell-off on the Qs and the market, the retesting of yesterday's highs. And I believe, all of that is going to turn into a rough trading range that everyone's going to lack confidence on until the Fed releases their information. Yeah, at first everything, the initial trade and then the next trade goes up. People are like, "Oh, right, we're going up." I mean, they have very little information, and yet They're assuming direction, but more and more factors come into play with every trade. PGY hitting 22.5. It's now at 22.68 PGY with a lot of movement. BWV at 382, hit 387 briefly. So PGY and BWV, the momentum movers this morning so far. And PGY hit 23 and then backed off. It's at 22.97, 22.84, 22.65. Alpha is posting right now saying that if you want to follow his alerts and plays, check out the Live Trader Lounge and go into the chat there, the text chat in the Live Trader Lounge, and he's doing play-by-plays on his alerts, which you can find in his alert channel, Alpha Alerts. You had PGY at 19 in pre-market. Okay, good job at 19. Good. Yeah, we were talking about it. You probably were on it before us, but or maybe not. But yeah, it definitely started moving there in pre-market, and I'm happy to see you're on it. More stock to check out here on the triggered alerts. I. It's literally I. BWV is back to 375 now. It did get as high as 391, but it's definitely under a lot of pressure to try to make any further progress. So you might want to think about de-risking or cutting at break even with BWV. PGY is similar. It's down to 20 roughly after hitting 23. And that, wow, it's really ripping down hard now. It hit 19.53. This is after hitting 23. I think even RJ maybe got trapped in that one. That was a fast move. I don't know. He'd have to be really having his coffee this morning. I think RJ just got hit. There, RJ says he's out. He's definitely out. That much he's good enough for. You had your finger on the flat button. Oh, good job, man. Way to play defense. All right, and the market is moving back up again. We've got a couple of green bars on the 1 and 2 minute charts. Trying to retest those highs. We have no established trend so far, just a high and a low on the market across the board. Seeing that on the Dow, seeing that on the Qs, seeing that on the S&P 500. And let's see if we have any indication of projected end of day volume so far. I suspect it would be low. Let me see. All right, so far the projections are high volume, but I don't really believe the accuracy yet of the predictive algorithm that I programmed into that. Actually, on the S&P 500, it does say it's going to be lower. The Dow as well, because we're only 7 minutes into the trading session. We'll have a much better estimate about 20 or 30 minutes into the trading session about what the target end of day volume will be. And besides the fact, at 2 p.m., once the Fed releases their report, volume's going to really release. There's going to be a lot of volume on the market starting around 2 p.m. And the Q's making a new high. S&P 500 making a new high on the day. And the Dow, however, pulling back. So that's going to start to tug at the S&P 500. There it is. The S&P 500 pulling back after making that high. And there is the Q's now pulling back after making that high. And it looks like the Dow's making a new low on the day. So that's pretty much going to curb the S&P 500. There we go. S&P 500 is now putting in some more downward motion. And that's likely going to correct the Q's a little bit off of that new high it just made. And this is the way it's going to be, likely all day is just make a little bit of a new high, fake out, reverse, come back down. All right, now the S&P 500 is now attempting to make new high again, while the Qs are making a new high. If anybody needs me to take a look at something they're holding right now, let me know. BWV has made a new high and it hit 3.99. It's currently at 3.99. There we go. It broke over the $4 mark. It's now at 4.04. And so the prophecy of the fact that the most eyes were on that stock has been, that's been a useful predictor that the number one amount of dollar volume was on BWV. So it had the most, potential for momentum. Gains might not be the same, but it's the most liquid. It's got the most eyes on it. And if FOMO is going to come from somewhere, it's going to come from there. The market is actually sharply moving higher at the moment. S&P 500 and the Qs and the Dow is following suit as well. So it looks like we are kicking off a rally. And that could be everyone assuming that that it's going to be 75 basis points and the market is going to run from here, and that they're trying to front run and get in early on that move. Andrell says we rallied into the last 2 or 3 meetings, if I remember correctly. Yeah, you may be right about that. So that seems to be what's potentially happening across the market, is everyone's going ahead and grabbing that signal of new high. Swing traders, hedge funds are doing some little bit of pre-entry, get a better cost average. I don't know if it's just me, but my Thinkorswim is extremely sluggishly slow this morning. Anybody else? Man, I mean, it is really struggling. Could be just me. About 2 minutes to get an order in just then. RJ says no issues on his end. Yeah, I think it's just a memory. They've always had a memory leak problem. We just got an alert from MarketSmith. Check out what that is. Well, T-Mobile. That has expanded volatility. I'm not sure that that's a good idea. Yeah, no, I don't think so. No. Ooh, I mean, it is being really slow. What I'm going to do, because I'm just like, it's practically paralyzing. But it is interesting to follow this market right now. The market is going up, and if you had something you were stalking and you were looking for that entry, it looks like it's happening. Just be careful. Don't trap yourself. Make sure that whatever you get into, you could potentially get out of once the Fed decision happens at 2 p.m. But there is the possibility that the market is going to rally off of the Fed decision, and that we're already seeing that now. And don't get kicked out of your trade by the first half an hour to hour and a half movement from the Fed's decision on the market. But my main point is I'm going to now cut the live stream and move into the group because I got to restart my computer. The memory leak has gotten excruciating. I can't keep going on like that. Thinking about Apple trendline breakup from last. I'm sure Apple's been very strong. Yeah, there you go. That's a higher high. Apple, yeah, Apple, beautiful. It's not like it's the first entry though. Just FYI for this is the third entry on Apple since the bottom reversal. So it's getting extended. People are going to be taking profits more readily as it continues to move forward. That will add some upward pricing pressure. But yep, this is a good third entry. And I'll go and alert that now while I sign off. All right, see you guys over in the trading room. And I may pop back on just before the Fed decision to go live at that time, depending on what I've got going on at that time. All right, so hopefully I'll see you guys soon in the group. And by the way, there's a couple people already in the live trader lounge, and Alpha is in there coming up with price targets and trades for the S&P 500 so you can trade with the SPY ETF. All right, see you in the Discord, see you in the trading group. Bed party.